All right, this week I'm taking a little bit of a break from all of the furniture makeovers that I've been doing. Hey, I'm Janelle, this is toDIYfor, and if you are somebody who has a big blank space on their wall, you don't know what to do with it, and you don't have the cash for a large piece of artwork, this DIY is for you. It really all comes down to where you source your materials from, and that's where I come in because I like to keep things really thrifty. So I would suggest, instead of going out and buying a large canvas, thrift one. They are all over Facebook Marketplace when I went searching for this week's DIY, and I got a big one for 20 bucks. So I do not feel bad about recovering this. It was just an IKEA print, but it was way cheaper to do it this way than to buy it new at IKEA and make your own piece. Plus, the materials that you need to do this kind of technique that I'm going to show you, that's a very texturized piece of art that anyone can do, they cost you like 10 bucks, and it's just from the hardware store. So let's get into the DIY. So this is the piece I found for $20 online. I believe it's an IKEA print. It's around 3 feet by 4 feet, which is really big and would cost a ton if you actually got a canvas. So this is in a little bit of a frame and it's on wood. So it's not actually a canvas, but it's gonna work perfect for what we're doing. So I just grabbed this whole tub of spackling from the Home Depot and it was around $10. One tub did this entire project. And I just have my spackling knife here, and I'm just going to slop it on. Like, there really is no rhyme or reason to this. I had no idea what I was doing when I started, and the more texture, the better. I will say that as I was working around the edges, I just tried to keep as much as I could on the actual piece because there is a little gap there, as you can see, between the frame and the board that this is all on. So I just worked away on this in my living room. I threw a movie on and do long strokes, do short strokes, leave lots of large globs on. I would say that if anything, I wish I added more texture to the piece than I thought I was adding. So over here in this space, I decided to add even more spackling. As you can see, it's whiter there, so it's thicker. And I laid it down as flat as possible, just in this corner. And then I went ahead and I used my boyfriend's pick to create this design. Now you could use really anything, ideally something that has multiple lines and indents to do a similar shape to this, which I just arched at the top. Also though, people use a trowel will give you a similar effect to this as well, which you can just pick up at the hardware store. So afterwards, I just kind of roughed up the area that I had smoothed out above it. I did leave a smooth space below it just to add another layer of, like, you know, texture and design to this to draw your eyes to different places. So I mixed this paint up and I absolutely hated the color. And then I went back and I mixed a more creamed tone color for this piece. I also added baking soda to this paint. So that's a technique that a lot of people use on, you know, YouTube, TikTok. People are doing it to kind of create pieces that look like they are pottery, but they're not. So it adds a lot of texture to the paint. I would totally suggest using the baking soda in the paint as well. I liked the effect that it had. So the last thing to do is really just paint out this frame. I did it with some black paint. I sanded it down first because there was almost like a plastic film on this and I wanted the paint to adhere really well. And I just made sure not to get any on the original piece. So I really love that this piece had a frame built into it. It adds a whole other element to this. I think it elevates this piece, makes it look even more expensive. I love the contrast between the two colors that I chose. And it might be a little difficult to see in this video the texture from certain angles, but it really does look phenomenal in person. On camera, it's a little hard to see from time to time, but you can have fun with this and really do whatever you want with this design, make it more complex than I did. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's $30 is what this cost me. So it's really inexpensive for a large piece of beautiful art. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already, and be sure to check out my video next week. I'll have a new one for you on Wednesday. Cheers.